Hello, I'm Claudia Fox. Welcome to Degrees of Success. A little about me. I spent most of my career in real estate, and a lot of that was coaching agents, managers, training people. As a voluntary service, I started to work with teens. And I did a program called Prepared for Life, Lemonade Day in New York City, where I taught young people how to be entrepreneurs. I've done many other things like the Boys and Girls Club, things like that. But it occurred to me that other people might enjoy hearing stories of people who are successful without a college degree, especially with the way things are now after the pandemic, which really did affect high school students. I think that they're a little behind in terms of college. And then parents lost jobs. So that was a very difficult thing financially. So many young adults will not be going to college. And what are they going to do? I've watched so many programs about their depression, turning to drugs. So I would really like to explore this with people and help teens to feel good about themselves with alternate paths for a career. So on my first show, I interviewed a young lady who has a hair salon. And as I said then, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And today we have her mom with us, Terri Philibert. Terri, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. So why don't we just dive into these questions and
sure.
see how you became successful without a college degree. So when you were growing up, was there a message in your family about college?
There was. You know, it was back in 1987. It was touched upon. I was supported if I wanted to go, not really knowing what I wanted to do. It took me some time, but I had a choice of either working or going to college, and I chose to go to work full-time.
So what was your first job?
So my very first job was in the insurance industry with a workers' comp office, and I was offered a training base. At the time, it didn't require college. You studied. I worked under someone. I was trained, which I felt I did better training than actually going to school and going through books. And I took a state exam after like 2 years and became the licensed workers' comp adjuster. And I just kind of fit in it, and I stayed, you know, for several years after.
Great. Now, when you were in high school, how did you feel when other kids were going to college and you knew you were going to work? Was that okay with you? Or did you have
I mean,
feelings?
there was always a certain of uncertainty, not really knowing where your fit is, because there's so many mixed messages, right? I feel one way, and then you're being portrayed or told another way. So I always felt school told you how to think. They didn't teach you how to think.
Good point.
So I needed that. It took me several years, to realize, okay, where do I fit in? What is my desires? Where am I happiest? What do I like? And it was mass confusion. I would say always take a couple of years off to give yourself a time to think, because you're hit so hard. And how many times have students gone to college for two years, 3 years? Oh, I don't like this. I want to change my, education and do something different. So I think just, giving yourself that time. And my time didn't happen until several years later when I was let go of my position because, new companies came in, it was bids, so I was actually, laid off, and I'm like, here I am several years later, what do I do?
Yeah.
So that's when I had to reinvent myself, and it took some time.
Well, I totally understand. In my high school, most of the kids went to college, and I felt so sad when they went. I didn't have a career path. I didn't think like you did. So I got married. That was because my dad used to say,
Right.
You're not going to college, you're going to get married and have babies anyway. So I think it was great that you had a plan.
Yeah, that was thrown in the mix too. You're getting older, you got to get married, It was there. It was, having a career and juggling, babies.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But I found myself in 2000 with babies and no job and no income.
Oh, dear.
So that's when I reinvented myself. And it's so funny, but because I didn't have that college degree, to get into the larger companies, it wasn't, they took somebody with a degree over me. So I actually took a job at a pizza restaurant. Taught me the best interaction with people. Because I always had a desire to help people. With workers' comp, it was injury, they were hurt and this and that, but it was like serving people. And it took me a little bit of time, but to interact and know how to treat somebody. Or, it was hard going from this executive position to now I'm a pizza waitress and to reinvent myself. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
And doing that, then I just was like, I could do whatever job I took thereafter. I was like, always felt, okay, you know what, how can I be the best for this company? And I never looked at it like, okay, I'm working for someone. I always, in my head, acted like I owned it. And just learned and learned and learned.
I think that must be a trait of successful people because I had that same attitude. And I remember working for one company when I went in, I painted the walls, I brought in pictures, I swept the floors.
Yeah.
It was like, this is mine. I'm just going to own it. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
That is kind of a great attitude to have in any job. Like, think like the owner.
Think like the owner.
And you become the owner. The other thing is that in my book, I interviewed so many people who lied on their resume about having college and work for corporations.
Okay.
Some of them were not found out until years and years later. Like some 45 years later, they wanted to move into a different position and it was discovered. But that was a big lie that people had during the times when you grew up and I grew up. Well, it sounds like you had such a great attitude. That was a great trait of yours, right?
Yeah, I mean, I took the position in a disaster restoration company, and it wasn't a job to me. I was a little nervous at first, but I loved what I did. Knowing that, somebody was in a situation or a crisis and I could be there to help them, it was satisfaction to me. I just loved what I did.
So was that your second job?
Yes, it was. It was in the same, it's still in the insurance industry. It was just instead of, dealing with bodily injuries, it was dealing with, damaged property, disaster, a restoration. So it was still, me helping serve people.
Do you have any, like a big story of a disaster that comes to your mind?
I think the biggest disasters, I would say, are, heavy water damages or fire damages. Their whole world is turned upside down. Families are displaced. They don't know what to do because nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them, or if it does, what is the plan? We're there, our team is there from beginning to end. We help you, get situated, find places to live, and walk you through the whole claim process. There's a big team behind all of us. So I'm blessed enough to have been offered, an opportunity to get in this industry. And they supported me 100%, I will say. Because when I was approached to be involved, I was like, I have nothing to offer you but myself. And they did support me in that aspect. They said, that's okay, because we're gonna support you.
Wow. So I think some of the important things to think about are a great attitude. I mean, Terri had a waitressing job, and look at what she came away with. I did waitressing for one afternoon, went home, went to sleep, and I said, I cannot go back there. I was exhausted. So just the difference in attitude. Terri went, and she made lemonade out of lemons. She took away many things from that helped her in her career. So a great attitude, owning the job as if it were your own. And I think that also goes to having compassion for the owner when things don't go perfectly, because companies always have weaknesses and failures. And oftentimes people join and then they think, oh, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. So it helps to get on that side of the owner, right?
It's hard to build a culture within your business to make the team work as a team. Someone has a bad day, the whole team's coming down. And I think the hardest challenge for anybody is staying in that vibration where you keep yourself aligned, because you could have one situation take you out of that, and then the whole day shifts into a different. So it's maintaining, reading, renew, put yourself in a place where you just read and learn. And that's what I do to keep on track. Someone's having a bad day, I try to stop it right there, let's talk, and then change it. And building culture is a very difficult challenge, because everybody's at a different place. Who wants a career? Who wants just a job? So what I do with my company is that everybody comes in with an opportunity. You want a career? These are the steps that you could take if you like it, if it's a fit. If you want a job, it's a job. And I give them the opportunity to grow, because once somebody stops evolving, once somebody stops growing, just like Courtney's like, well, I want to expand, I want to make it a full salon, I want to, so she's evolving, she's, you got to keep it going, because otherwise then people just fizz out, and then the value disappears.
Do you think that your daughter, Courtney, that she absorbed a lot of who you are that helped her to be a success?
Yeah. So when she came home and told me, I wasn't surprised. I was like, just go for it. You know what I mean? I said, just do what you do, because I remember when I was her age, I did the same thing. They're like, my parents would support any college I went to, but would never support hairdressing.
Wow.
And I said, she has it in her. But if you look at back then to today, it's a huge business. It changed drastically. So I'm very proud of her. I'm glad that, she took the chances that she took, Yeah.
So this is Courtney, who is Terri's daughter. She also has a son who's going to come on the show. So Terri was very influential with her children. And Courtney was on our first show. We interviewed her with her successful hair salon and growing in leaps and bounds. So did you Did you feel passionate about your business when you first started it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I had to go to technical training school. You know, I had no income, I was gone for a month. I had to leave my family back, and went to training school, came back, and started in a garage.
Wow.
With now what? And it was just, little by little, I just got up and focused. It's hard because if you think about tomorrow and what could happen, everything I worried about never happened. So I had to change what I was thinking and just focus on today. Okay, today I got this. Let me accomplish this. I still have that motto today because if I get too far ahead of myself, I worry for nothing. So you have to let that down, right?
Yeah.
And not worry about, because everything I worried about never happened.
That's a very, very good point.
Right.
I think in my life it's the same way. I can think about times when I worried about something and never happened, and I thought, wow, I just wasted a lot of time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I love that. So what do you think, were there any failures that occurred for you, or like your daughter, was it kind of just smooth sailing?
I don't think anything's really smooth sailing.
Okay.
There's a lot of failures, making the wrong decision. I think if I could have changed my mindset back then, there's so much negativity, I want to say. And
Yeah.
you could have, someone's having a bad day, one bad word affects your whole day. If I just got into that mindset a lot younger and stayed focused, and intuition, usually it was pretty right on, but I ignored that a lot. I would say I probably wouldn't have been as hard and long. It took me longer to get here than I should have, had I just listened earlier.
Yes, I think that's really an important point, is intuition and staying focused.
Yeah.
I know right now my son and his fiance, and I'm going to have them in the program too, because his fiance had 3 more credits but didn't finish college, and he did not have a college degree. And they're studying how to become millionaires. And the biggest point that they came up with was focus. And he said, Mom, I'm not on Facebook anymore. We're focusing.
Yeah.
So it is.
It is focusing. And there's a lot of great programs out there. There's inspirational speakers. I listen to a lot. Tony Robbins is one of them. He's, and he has the ability just to speak, and then you're right, you change your whole direction.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. And thank God for those and if you apply, it works.
Yeah, I took some of his courses.
Yes. Yeah.
Very motivated.
Very motivated.
Yeah.
He's been through it. But I think that's what builds our characters, but knowing where we came from. And I always thought, when I was younger, I can't do that. No, that's not for me. That's not for me. And then one day the light switch, well, why not? Why is it not for me? Why is it not for my kids? Why? I don't want them to struggle and go through what I went through, so, why not? Everybody's born with a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And to fulfill a purpose, and if they tap into their intuition, that's why when Courtney came to me and saying, Mom, this is my desire, it's like, who am I to stop that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky for her, yes. And I do know that it is an ongoing kind of thing, because I'm 77 and I'm still working on my end goal of getting my program into the high schools and getting my book read by high school students, because I believe in it, but I had other things to accomplish first.
Right.
So you're always growing.
Always growing.
Always growing. So what would your advice or tips be for the young people who are viewing this?
Take time to listen to your intuition. stay focused, read positive, reinforce, don't let negativity in your sphere, and if you recognize it, eliminate it.
Great.
Eliminate it, and don't, I had a tendency to make excuses. No. Eliminate it and then move forward.
And is there anything about you that any question I didn't ask that you want to reveal or talk about, something about yourself?
No, I would just, it wasn't easy, you know, and it did build character, and I'm still evolving, and I'm still growing, and I still have so much to learn. But I would say, you know, don't give up.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much for being
You're welcome.
on the show. I am so appreciative. And to kind of wrap up the show, I'd like to say that there are books you can read, there are videos you can watch, there are motivational courses you can take, and I probably took as many as possible, always to support myself to getting to where I am. I mean, I am a real estate broker and very successful at it. And now moving into something else that really is a passion for me that I never really focused on. So there's lots of help out there. There are coaches, there are mentors, there are internships. And also I liked what Terri said, when you graduate from high school, there are other things you can do so that you can figure this out for yourself. There's even gap years, and those are programs that are quite good too. So thank you for joining us. I do look forward to having you watch the rest of my shows. Have a great day.